Welcome to the Gaming Vanguard podcast, bringing you your weekly briefing of curated news from the front lines of the video game industry. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our listeners for your continued support of this podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest gaming news, and consider joining our community of gamers over at gamingvanguard.com. Now for this week's headlines. Sony recently posted a job listing seeking a leader for multi-platform strategy, indicating plans to release more PlayStation games on other digital storefronts such as Steam, Epic, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. Initially experimenting with bringing single-player titles to PC years after release, Sony is now expanding this approach to multiplayer and live service games like Helldivers 2, which will also launch on Xbox, as well as family spin-offs like LEGO Horizon Adventures, coming to both PS5 and Switch. This shift is driven by Sony facing stagnant PS5 sales and rising game development costs, making exclusivity less financially beneficial than before. Microsoft, in response to Xbox's weaker hardware sales, has gone further by porting multiple former exclusives to PlayStation and Nintendo. The industry increasingly recognizes that player loyalty depends less on exclusives and more on ecosystems and social factors, such as friends lists and digital libraries. Exclusivity is no longer a permanent platform lock, but is more often used as a timed sales tactic. Nintendo remains the primary holdout, continuing to succeed with its strict exclusivity model. However, for Sony and Microsoft, financial pressures are changing gamer habits and accelerating the trend toward most major releases eventually becoming multi-platform. Although skepticism remains around key PlayStation franchises like God of War coming to Xbox soon, even major blockbusters like Spider-Man could plausibly appear on other consoles, as software profit margins take precedence over hardware sales. Overall, console exclusivity is no longer essential for driving console sales or long-term business growth. Both Sony and Microsoft are cautiously reshaping their strategies to adapt to evolving market realities and consumer behaviors. Sony Interactive Entertainment has filed a lawsuit against Tencent over its upcoming game Light of Motiram, accusing it of being a slavish clone of Sony's Horizon series. The lawsuit was filed on July 25, 2025 in California and alleges both copyright and trademark infringement. Sony claims Tencent copied unique elements of Horizon in game design, narrative, and art style, causing consumer confusion and promoting Light of Motiram in a way that resembles Horizon's character Aloy. Complaint also reveals that Tencent had previously approached Sony for a license to the Horizon intellectual property, which Sony declined. Sony is seeking monetary damages, including statutory damages of up to $150,000 for each work infringed in the Horizon franchise, as well as a court order to block Tencent from continuing to violate its intellectual property rights. Sony also demands that Tencent surrender all products and marketing materials bearing the disputed marks for destruction. The game Light of Motiram is currently in development by Polaris Quest, a Tencent subsidiary, and remains available to wishlist on Steam without a release date. This legal action aims to prevent Tencent from releasing a game that Sony argues is confusingly similar to its popular Horizon franchise, and to protect its copyrights and trademarks from further infringement. Madden NFL 26 launches on August 14, 2025, but players can gain early access by purchasing the Deluxe or MVP bundles, which allow playing the game up to 7 days early, starting August 7th. The Deluxe Edition costs $100 and includes 4,600 Madden points, along with various in-game items, while the MVP bundle, priced at $150, includes Madden NFL 26, College Football 26, and additional items for both games. These bundles are available on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Notably, the Deluxe Edition for the Nintendo Switch 2 offers only 3 days of early access, and the pre-order deadline for that was July 24th. College Football 26 is not available on Switch 2. Madden NFL 26 marks the series' return to a Nintendo platform after more than a decade. Early access benefits include exclusive in-game content and solo challenges that enhance the player experience before the official launch date. The game also features updated gameplay mechanics, explosive animations, and new modes such as Ultimate Team and Franchise, aiming to bring authentic NFL action to current generation consoles. Madden NFL 26 offers a tiered pre-order structure that rewards early buyers with up to a week's early playtime and various bonuses, reflecting EA Sports' strategy to maximize early engagement and sales. EA's upcoming Skate reboot has already broken records for the company, with over 1 million people signing up for its closed playtest, making it the largest playtest in EA's history. Despite not yet entering full early access, the game has generated significant excitement, riding a wave of enthusiasm for retro skateboarding titles alongside releases like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. The reboot is developed by Full Circle, led by Jeff Seamster, who claims it is the best the series has ever felt and performed. The last mainline skate game was released 15 years ago, contributing to the high anticipation for this new installment. While some controversy surrounds the inclusion of microtransactions, expected since the game is a free-to-play live service, the record number of playtest signups shows strong interest. Invitations to the playtest are still being sent out, with all expected to be distributed by the end of July 2025. The game will launch in early access later in 2025, offering an evolving multiplayer skateboarding sandbox set in a city called San Vansterdam. Notably, the game requires constant online connection to support its live, evolving world and will not feature offline play at launch. Overall, the new Skate title is positioned as a major comeback for the franchise and a significant release for EA, showing promising engagement even well before its early access phase begins. EA has released the debut trailer for Battlefield 6, which sets a dark and intense tone for the game. The trailer features a U.S. president addressing a dark day following an unprovoked attack on the country, with cinematic footage showing war-torn locations including New York City. The single-player campaign focuses on a private military corporation called Pax Armada, funded by former NATO states, which threatens to ignite a global conflict. Gameplay promises a mix of visceral combat, large-scale warfare, tactical destruction of environments, and aerial dogfights involving tanks and fighter jets. The slogan emphasizes that the deadliest weapon is the player's squad. A major multiplayer reveal event is scheduled for July 31st, 2025, where Battlefield Studios developers will showcase new and returning multiplayer modes, maps, and present live multiplayer matches played by content creators. The event is promoted as the biggest moment in Battlefield history. No specific release date or platforms have been announced yet. Battlefield 6 is shaping up to be a blend of epic combat, player freedom, and intense squad-based warfare. More details and multiplayer gameplay to be unveiled soon. Supermassive Games, the developer behind titles like Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures Anthology, has announced some significant changes. The studio is undergoing layoffs, expecting to let go of up to 36 employees as part of a redundancy consultation process. This decision comes amid what the studio describes as a challenging and ever-evolving environment, games industry. As a direct result of this restructuring, Supermassive has delayed the release of its upcoming sci-fi survival horror game, Directive 8020. Originally slated for October 2nd, 2025, the launch is now postponed to the first half of 2026. Directive 8020 is a marked departure for the studio, being its first sci-fi title, with a story focused on a crew of a crashed spaceship fighting to survive a shape-shifting alien threat. Actress Lashana Lynch stars in the game. Despite the delay and layoffs, Supermassive emphasizes that the development on Little Nightmares 3 remains unaffected, and that game is still on track for its planned October 10th release. The studio stresses the delay aims to ensure the best possible experience for fans and expresses commitment to supporting those impacted by the layoffs. Fortnite's OG mode, which revisits the game's original seasons, is no longer just a simple replay of past events, but now includes new and mysterious story elements. During a recent live event in OG mode, players witnessed a familiar rocket launch from 2018, but with notable differences such as a glowing red crack in the sky instead of the original blue one. This event also featured a red rift butterfly, a new element associated with an ominous and demonic energy from the main Battle Royale storyline, suggesting that something unusual and possibly dangerous is unfolding within this mode. This evolving storytelling adds layers to the classic OG experience, implying that the OG mode takes place in an alternate branch of Fortnite's multiverse, rather than simply replaying past events. Fortnite's OG mode is mixing nostalgia with fresh surprises, deepening its lore and possibly connecting to current game narratives. Subtle changes continue to appear throughout the OG map, like mini red rifts altering familiar locations, hinting at ongoing developments to watch. Overall, Fortnite's OG mode has transitioned from being a straightforward homage to the game's early days to being a dynamic and intriguing mode with its own evolving story and mysteries, enhancing player engagement by blending the past with new lore-driven surprises. This shift adds depth to what was once considered just a carbon copy of the original game experience. Summer Games Done Quick 2025, the annual week-long speedrunning marathon, concluded after raising over $2.4 million for Doctors Without Borders, a global medical humanitarian charity. The event took place at the Hilton, Minneapolis in Minnesota from July 6th to 13th, attracting more than 2,600 attendees in person, alongside thousands of viewers watching via the SGDQ Twitch channel. This year's marathon featured speedruns of games such as Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, Balatro, Super Mario Maker 2, Blueprints, Mario Kart World, Beat Saber, and AEW Fight Forever. SGDQ 2025 also introduced new elements including an artist alley, where independent artists and craftspeople sold their work, as well as a live concert by the band The Megas. The event set a peak Twitch viewership of over 72,000 and accumulated roughly 6.57 million total hours watched, making it Twitch's most watched channel during the event week. Among the 37,776 donations, the largest individual gift was $61,200. Summer Games Done Quick has contributed significantly to Games Done Quick's lifetime charity total, which has now surpassed $50 million since its inception over 15 years ago. The marathon continues the tradition of showcasing outstanding speedrunning gameplay while supporting vital humanitarian causes, helping Doctors Without Borders provide medical care in conflict zones, disaster areas, and regions with limited healthcare access worldwide.